Hi there, my name is Shelby. Welcome to Sweetheart Reads. This is going to be one of my first videos that I post. So what you're going to be seeing is my 2021 Plan With Me bullet journal spread for my reading journal. So I you'll see throughout the spreads that my idea for 2021 was my initial yearly spreads was like French inspired, specifically like the Palace of Versailles with the kings and queens. I kind of got that idea first from I was watching Plant-Based Brides videos for her bullet journal spreads, and last year she did a lot of gold themed spreads, and I really liked the gold. And then I also got the idea of, for the books that I read, kind of doing like a library kind of spread, and I thought it would be really neat if I could make the library look like the library from Beast Castle in Beauty and the Beast. So that kind of went from there with then doing like Versailles and like French kind of. It's a lot more elaborate than I've ever done for my, bullet journals prior to this. So, I mean, there's some things that I think I could have done a little bit better, that I might have changed if I did it again, but overall, I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. So, here it is. Enjoy. Okay. So we're starting out, I'm opening my new bullet journal. I got this from Archer and Olive, and it's working out pretty well. So just writing my name. And then I also got the notepads from Archer and Olive, which I'm pretty excited about because I think it'll be really good for putting in extra pages into my journal. So I just added this to the side, and I'm creating a grid spacing cheat sheet. I saw from Plant-Based Brides, she kind of put her grid spacing in the cover of her notebook to where it folds out like this, and I thought that was a really good idea. So I'm kind of making my own little grid space kind of cheat sheet. So I just kind of numbered all of the dots and spaces on the side and up at the top, and then created dots or dot-based line through the middle on the vertical side and then the horizontal side as well. And here I'm just, again, numbering all the spaces and kind of planning out the grids. And you'll see in a minute what I usually use this for. So with my reading journal, I'm creating spreads to write like my reviews and what I thought on like the books that I read. So here I'm just kind of creating, I have a few different ways of how I'm going to do this, how I'm going to spread it out for my reviews based on a 2-page review per book, and then a 1-page review per book, and then a third of a page review for books. So there you see I have the different colors for all of those so that I know which I want to do, and kind of depending on how interested I am in a book, if I have lots of opinions or lots of thoughts, we'll kind of go with how many pages I'll use for the review. And there I'm just writing the title, grid spacing. All right. And then the next page will just be kind of the title page. All of these spreads I already drew out everything I was going to do because it took me a very long time. But like I said, I was kind of inspired by the Palace of Versailles. So this is my attempt to draw like the front of the palace, which this palace is super huge. And I don't quite think I got all the proportions correct. I kind of think the middle, it almost looks like a Spanish style house, but I mean, whatever. And I'm just kind of erasing all those pencil lines. But this is, the best I could do. with my drawing skills that I have. But overall, I'm pretty pleased with it. Like I said, had I not drawn this out in pencil first, this video would have been like a million years long, because it would have taken me so long to draw this. So now I'm just kind of going to start coloring it in. I'm using the Archer and Olive Acrylograph pens, which I really like. They're really saturated in color, and it filled my drawing in really nicely. And now here it is with it all colored in. Next, I thought it would be really cool, so I drew out the front entrance to Versailles. So if you don't know, it has a gate all the way around it, and the gate is completely gold. Completely gold. This palace is extra over the top, extravagant, and I thought it would be really cool to make the gates kind of open for the palace as a kind of, door into a gate or door into the new year. So here I am, I cut them out and I am taping it over my palace that I colored in and drew. And then I'm going to end up folding the gates open so that you can kind of flip them open. I thought this was just a really nice idea. I'm not going to use it for anything except for, you'll see in a minute, I'm going to put like a quote inside the gates. But it's just really cool to look at, really neat aesthetic. And here I'm just drawing in the year 2021. I'm doing like a kind of a French inspired font. I just Googled like French font online, and I found a reference for this style of font that I'm going to try to use throughout my bullet journal. And as you'll see in a minute, I kind of did the numbers so that when the gates are folded down, you'll still be able to see 2 and 1 for the year 21. But then, opened up, it shows the full 2021. Just coloring in the numbers. I don't really like using fancy, like the pens that you're honestly supposed to use for like drawing numbers or writing out like calligraphy style things, but I usually just use a regular pen and kind of fill in and make it look prettier. And here I'm starting to write the quote that I used. As you can see, I kind of skipped ahead a little bit. I found this paper, this kind of French inspired wallpaper online that I used to cover up the back ends of the gates, because I didn't really want just white paper. But anyway, the quote that I'm using is from one of my all-time favorite books, which is A Tale of Two Cities by Charles Dickens. I read this in high school and I absolutely fell in love with it. It's not the most hopeful book. It has a pretty sad ending, at least to me. So I don't know if that really bodes well, if this is the best quote for the year. But I wanted some sort of quote that kind of went along with my French style theme, with the Palace of Versailles, So if you don't know about A Tale of Two Cities, is kind of takes place in Paris, French, whatever, during the French Revolution, and London, thus, the two cities. And like I said, during the French Revolution, so it's not the sweetest, setting. A lot of bad things happen, but I really like this quote, which is the opening to that book. So I thought, opening to this year, it was the best of times, it was the worst of times. So which can be said honestly about any year. So on to the next page. This is going to be my my future log, I think it's called, where I'm going to end up putting all of the months out. And honestly, I'm mostly going to be using this for my anticipated releases of the year, since this is my reading journal. I might put some events in here, but for the most part, I'm just going to be writing down like books that I'm excited about and when they're supposed to come out this year. So all I'm doing, I found this kind of like French inspired style wallpaper on the web, and I'm just cutting it out to fit the page, and in the little nooks that I created on those pieces of paper is where I'm gonna put all of the months, and then down below I can put the books or whatever various events. So up at the top, I'm just writing out the names of, or the titles of each of the months, just the first 3 letters. I'm using a Archer and Olive Acrylograph pen to do this. I thought it worked really well over these papers. And again, using that French style font. Voila. So here's what I was talking about at the beginning of my video. What kind of inspired this whole thing was that I wanted to make, this is going to be all the books that I read this year, which I know there's a lot of slots. I don't think I will fill up all of them, but I'd rather have more slots than not enough slots. But I wanted to make this, basically try to make it after the library from Beast Castle, because I think that's every girl's dream library to have in their house. So this was my attempt to draw at least part of it. Again, with all of my drawings, I feel like my proportions are always off, but I'm pretty proud of it. And here it is, all kind of colored in, with all the stairs on the side, and then the little fireplace in the middle. And I'm just writing out 2021 books read at the bottom, again, in that like French inspired font. Okay, on to the next page. These 2 spreads, this first spread is going to be my goals for the year. This I decided to make look, I was trying to go for like a French style looking, kind of like mirror almost. I couldn't really find anything that I liked. It was honestly would have been way too much drawing than what I feel comfortable with, compared to what I've already drawn. Would have like a lot of like detailed like faces, which I'm not very good at drawing. So I kind of just did a mishmash and kind of copied a little bit of the top of the palace gates that I drew. And then I'm just writing in the title goals. And then the next page, this honestly took me way longer than I thought it was going to take for me to draw out. I kept doing this over and over and over, trying to figure out how I wanted to do this. But this is basically my Goodreads goal for the year, which is to read 180 books. Last year, I think my goal was only 100 books, and I ended up going over that by a lot. I think I ended up reading like 220 something books. So I didn't do 200. I decided to go a little bit less than that by 180, and hoping I can still hit that goal. I don't know. We'll see. I think I'll probably end up reading less than I did this year just because my daughter's, growing up and she's getting more active, and I don't think I'll be able to have as much time to read as I did this past year. But I think 180 is going to be a good goal. I hope I should be able to hit that mark, I think. So all of those little circles there's 180 circles there. So each time I read a book, I'll fill in a circle to hopefully meet that goal. And then this spread is going to be where I'm going to list out, hopefully all the books that I would like to read for this year. So I just kind of drew like a book flopping open, and each of those little pages is where I'm going to put a book or a title of a book that I'd like to read. And then the second page is going to be, I lost my train of thought. Oh my gosh. Here I am just coloring in the book, and I'm going to do the title. The second page where it has like the two gold rectangles. Again, I kind of styled that off of the gate because I couldn't really think of anything else to draw that would be like French kind of looking. So I just based it off of how some of the aesthetic from the gate. Oh, there's my head. So those two boxes, that spread is going to be books to reread. This past year I kept finding myself wanting to go back and visit books that I haven't read in a really long time, or I read really long ago and I can't really remember all of them, or books that I really loved and I just haven't had a chance to reread. And so I would like to try to reread some of my favorites this year. So that's what one of the spreads is going to end up being, or one of the boxes is going to end up being for. And then the other box is going to be kind of like a wish list per se. I read most of the books on my Kindle app on my phone. The vast majority of them. So I come to like some of my books that I really, really love, I would actually like to own physical copies of. So that's what I'm going to keep this box for, is just to make like a list of those books that I would like to own a physical copy of instead of just an ebook. That way I can kind of display it like on my shelves whenever I do end up getting shelves. Currently all my books are unfortunately on the floor. And then here I went back and I drew this kind of fleur-de-lis crown motif on the front of the grid spacing. But here's just going to be the flip through, my final flip through of what I did, my 2021 yearly spreads. Overall, I'm pretty happy with it. It was a lot more elaborate than I thought it was going to be. It took a lot more time than I thought it was going to take. Don't think I'm gonna go this elaborate on the next year's 2020 yearly spread or 2022 yearly spread, but I mean, I say that now and then I'll have this idea and I'm just gonna try to roll with it and do what I can. But yeah, so there you go. My 2021 bullet journal.